My name is Random Tuesday, and in this video I'm going to talk you through my Vera for Monster Prom cosplay look. You can also head over to my other video where I talk you through the rest of this particular costume, or check out my website in the links below for more information, resources, tutorials, and patterns for this and many other costumes. Let's get started. To get the overall green for this makeup look, there are 3 types of makeup you can choose from. You can choose cream, water-based, or alcohol-based makeup. Now, all of them have their advantages and disadvantages, and you might find that you don't want to use the one that I used and you want to use one of the other ones. With cream-based makeup, they have pretty good durability because they don't sweat off, they're not activated by water, because they're oil-based, but unfortunately, they never really set properly. You want to be really careful with them anytime you touch your face, or especially if you use them on parts of your body like your hands, you're gonna just be leaving color everywhere. The next type is water-based, and water-based makeups don't have that same risk. They don't tend to rub off nearly as much as regular cream-based makeups do. However, because they're water-based and water is part of sweat, they are more susceptible to running if you get particularly sweaty. Now, you can prevent a lot of that with use of barrier sprays and setting sprays before and after you apply your makeup look. But one thing to know is they do sometimes end up being a little bit less opaque and a little bit more transparent, so you'll need a few more coats than you might with alcohol-based makeup, which is what I ended up using for this look. And alcohol-based makeup, the main advantage of it is it's not activated by water, so you can't sweat it off. In fact, you can't even really rub it off. It comes off with soap and water or varying different removers depending on the brand. But it does tend to run a little bit more expensive, and because it's based with alcohol, it can be very drying and harsh, and maybe not the best if you have particularly sensitive skin. So with that, let's jump into the actual makeup look. First, we're gonna start with our primer layer, and I'm using my basic makeup primer, the NYX Photo Loving Primer in Clear. This is technically optional, but it does give a nice barrier between your skin and the pretty harsh alcohol-based makeup, as well as smooths over your pores and gives you a nice canvas to work from. After that, we're going to jump to using the color makeup. And this is the Hybrid Pro Air makeup that I am using. And it's an alcohol-based makeup, meaning that it's a little bit harsh on the skin and also on all of the mucous membranes. You can really get to know just how boozy it is when you're putting it on. This can be applied using an airbrush or a sponge, or in my case, I used a spray bottle. I didn't have an airbrush on hand, and a spray bottle does help give a nice even finish. You're just gonna kind of close your eyes and go for it, really spraying everywhere that you want to get covered, from including your ears, get your décolletage if you are wearing a lower cut outfit, and all the way up even onto the hairline to just blend in any of the hairs and keep them less visible. Once you have your base green layer down, you're gonna go ahead and contour it, because you're gonna find that applying an all over color just kind of washes all of your features out and makes them very hard to see or discern. So I used for my contouring a green eyeshadow palette that I had that had a dark green and a light green, one that was lighter and darker than the base shade of green that I had used. So with this, you just do contouring the same way that you normally would, really focusing on emphasizing like the cheekbones, the temples, the chin dimples, and the highlighter along the forehead and kind of the T-zone. It's basically the exact same as normal contouring, except you're using a green eyeshadow as opposed to regular contouring colors. Next, we're going to go ahead and work on the eye portion of this makeup look. Now, to fill in the rest of the eyes, I don't recommend going over it with more of the makeup, because the closer you get to your eyeballs, the more it's going to hurt. Instead, I used as both a primer for my eyelids, but also to fill in all of the bits that weren't covered by the Pro Air makeup, a green concealer stick that I had on hand. And this is e.l.f. brand green concealer stick, but any green concealer stick is going to work. Over the top, we're going to add some eyeshadow. Now, I ended up using the exact same, or 2 of the same colors of eyeshadows from my eyeshadow palette that I did the contouring with. So I started with an all over on the brow ridge and on the corner inside of my eyes. The lighter shade, the shade that I use as the highlighter, a very light sort of pale green. Then on my lids, I went over it with a more medium tone green that was part of that eyeshadow palette. But any sort of mid-tone green eyeshadow is going to show up. You might want to pick something that's in a little bit of different of a color family than the other two greens, just so that it sort of actually stands out and definitely shows up. Lastly, on the edge, in my eye, in that crease area, I did a black eyeshadow to really define the edges of my eyes. Next, I gave her some wicked winged eyeliner using my Epic ink liner pen from NYX Cosmetics. I just drew on some fairly elongated cat eyes, just following the edge of that brow eyeshadow and filling it in nice and dark to really give a good definition to that top lash line. I finished off the eyes using my Great Lash mascara from Maybelline to really just make everything pop. If you felt so inclined, you could definitely use some fake lashes, but that's not where my skill set is. Next, I moved on to the lips, which I started out by lining them using a darker lip liner. I wanted something darker than the actual lipstick so that it would really give an edge to the lips and kind of define them, as well as make it easier to apply the lipstick on the top without having to be super precise about all of it. The lip liner that I used is the NYX lip liner in Prune, which is kind of a pinkish dark purple. If I'd been able to find a more bluer tone purple, I would have gone for that, but this was what was available. Next, I used the NYX Liquid Suede Cream Lipstick in Sway, aka light purple, sort of amethyst color. This was the closest I found to the lipstick color for Vera from Monster Prom. You might be able to find something else that's even closer, although this one was pretty accurate. And I just applied it on over the top, being as careful as I could to match up the edges of the lip liner that I had. The final finishing touch is to fill in and darken the eyebrows, which I did using an eyeshadow in a dark green color. Not quite the same as the one that I used for the lowlighter. This is from an e.l.f. multi 150 color palette that I have on hand. And I just used one of the dark green colors that matched with the colors that I had used for the snakes in the wig. And I just filled them in using a thin, flat brush, keeping them nice and narrow and neat for the pure business Vera vibe. With all of this makeup together, one of the things that I didn't end up showing you is that I use a barrier spray at the end of it. I'm using Ben Nye Final Seal. This is just spritzed on afterwards. Obviously, you might want to apply contacts with hers. I am very bad at putting contacts in my eyeballs because they just don't like to stick. It's a thing, but if you are going for her red eye look, there's lots of great brands. You can find some of those links on my website. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. You can check out my other YouTube videos, including one on how I put together the costume look for this particular cosplay, over on my channel. You can also check out my website down in the links below for more information, tutorials, resources, and patterns, and lots of other cosplay goodness, or find me live on twitch.tv/randomtuesday, where I am always happy to answer questions. And lastly, and never leastly, thank you to each and every one of my patrons over on Patreon who helped make this video a reality, and also this cosplay. If you can, a small monthly amount can help support me in creating more content like this and more awesome cosplays and cosplay video resources. Thank you so much for watching.